What's going on, everybody? It's Nick Gashler here again with another updated 2021 mock draft. This is going to be my 3.0 version, and instead of trades this time around, we're going to do a two-round mock draft. So I'll go through my analysis and thoughts on the round two picks. I mean, it's hard. As you get more rounds in, it's harder to predict more accurately. So towards those second and third rounds, I kind of just take flyers and draft based on how I would draft rather than how I feel like it could end up going down. So without further ado, let's just get into the top 10. These two, Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, are going to stay mostly the same. I mean, it's so hard to find change there. Lawrence is going to go 1, and it seems like the Jets are out on Sam Darnold. Joe Douglas said he's taking calls this week, so I can't see a scenario where they go Justin Fields. They could, of course, but Zach Wilson seems to have cemented himself as QB2 in this draft based on just perceptions as a whole, and he should be that second overall selection. Then 3 and 4 stay pretty much the same. Penei Sewell goes to the Dolphins. They take another offensive lineman, maybe to move Austin Jackson to guard, or maybe to keep him at tackle and move Penei Sewell into guard. Either one would work, and they acquired Isaiah Wilson, who is a low risk, high reward type of player. If he develops into something really good and gets his character under control, he could be a really good right tackle for him. But for now, Penei Sewell, you can just use him in so many different areas, and he is that versatile weapon that you can use. Like I said, anywhere on the offensive line, he's going to dominate. Number 4, I think Atlanta would be stupid to pass up on a quarterback, especially now that we're seeing more of these quarterbacks get more and more popular. I had them taking Kwity Paye in the last mock draft. It's not very likely, but especially now, even if the top 3 quarterbacks are off the board, if Miami trades down or even takes a quarterback, they're still probably going to go Mac Jones or Trey Lance. And I've liked Justin Fields' fit in Atlanta because I think he needs a little bit of time to develop, and I think he could get that with Matt Ryan and come in next year and ball. The 5, 6, 7, 8 area is kind of where it gets a lot different actually. I have Kyle Pitts going 5 to the Bengals. I really debated Rashaan Slater here as well, weighing in the two options, but I'm mocking this as if they go and get help in free agency with the offensive line, and they also find a really solid tackle option in the second round here as we get into that. So I think they have to take Pitts here. He's a really dynamic talent, and I think he has top 10 talent and potential because you could line him up so many different places. He'd just be a big target for Burrow, which would really help him out. The 6, Devonta Smith. He's been dropping in a lot of different mock drafts, but I still love Devonta Smith. I still think he's the best receiver in the class, and I still think he should be the first receiver off the board, and that's just plain and simple. And the Eagles got Jalen Reagor last year, who's more of a speed option, and so is Devonta Smith to a certain extent, but Devonta Smith can also do a lot more with his route running, with his hands, with his catching in traffic. He's going to be a really good player on the next level, in my opinion. And even if he's not elite, he'll still be pretty productive. Moving on to 7, this is our first kind of head-scratcher pick, unless you consider this pick to not be seen. But I have the Lions going JOK. I've come around on Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I've watched some more tape on him, and I think he could be a really solid player on the next level. He is undersized, which I don't love, but he has that mentality that a guy like Dan Campbell's looking for. He's going to go bite kneecaps off. He's aggressive. He is able to be athletic in coverage and stuff, but he's also can be aggressive and hit the run hard and hit the shoot gaps and whatnot. Really good player. You can put him anywhere on that defense as well, especially for a defense that just kind of needs help everywhere. You need to find help everywhere on that defense. JOK would be a really good option for that. And moving on to number 8, a little bit of a surprise here. We got Mac Jones going 8th over Trey Lance. And it kind of relates to that talk we had last week. I think Mac Jones is more ready right now to start in the NFL than Trey Lance is. I don't think either of them should start on day 1. But if you're looking for a future franchise quarterback, Mac Jones is that guy. Trey Lance has a little bit of development to do, which is why I'd opt for Mac Jones over Trey Lance. Moving on to the 9th pick, staying the same, Caleb Farley. He's my guy for Denver. I really feel like he'd do great things here. In a cover 2 type scheme, he'd do pretty well. I mean, he is considered a press man corner, right? But he definitely can also play cover 2 and play with a safety as well. His speed and his recovery speed is everything that Vic Fangio wants, and he'd be a really good pick, especially if JOK is off the board. Number 10, Rashawn Slater drops to the Cowboys. I think this is an outstanding pick for the Cowboys because Rashawn Slater is a top 5 talent in my mind. And even if they don't use him at tackle day 1, you can still slide him inside to guard, or you could put him at right tackle. He has infinite versatility and possibilities as an offensive tackle. One of my favorite players in the class, and he should go top 10. He deserves it. Number 11, Jamar Chase slides a little bit in this edition. I just think because we've seen in the past, like, a lot of receivers just fall, right? We saw last year Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb, who were all projected top 15 picks. None of them were selected in the top 10, and only 2 of them were selected in the top 15. I feel like we could see a very similar trend here, which could either force Devonta or Jamar, or even Jalen, both of them, down to 11 where the Giants are picking, if Jalen Waddle ends up going ahead of them. Still, he's that wide receiver 1 target that the Giants are looking for. Would be a great acquisition on that offense. To 12, Patrick Surtain falls a little bit to the 49ers, and a big kind of question that I'm having now, and you'll see it coming in the coming weeks, is who's cornerback 1? And there's a lot of different answers to that. I love Kelvin Joseph. I love Caleb Farley. I like J.C. Horn. I like Patrick Surtain. And I've yet to see who's going to be that cornerback 1, but perception shows it's going to be Surtain, and if he's available at 12, they could potentially pass on Trey Lance to go get him. Number 13, the Chargers. They just go best player available here, and that's Jalen Waddle. Plain and simple, he's a really good threat. If you need help for Justin Herbert, pairing him with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, more importantly, would be great, and that would turn that offense into a juggernaut, especially if they can trade for a young left tackle like an Orlando Brown or sign somebody in free agency. Which brings Christian Darrisaw to 14 to Minnesota. Just a pick that I've been making quite consistently through these first three editions of the mock draft. Seems like a pretty natural fit, especially if Minnesota's going for left tackle. But if they don't really want him, or they think they could get better value for him lower, I could definitely see them trading down and seeing a team maybe like Washington or Chicago coming up to jump New England for a quarterback, which brings us into New England's choice of Trey Lance, a quarterback, obviously the best quarterback on the board right now. I think he is a great fit in New England. Maybe not as good as Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is a little bit better of a fit there, but he can still develop. He can sit there and develop behind like a Jarrett Stidham or a veteran like an Alex Smith or whatnot, and then come in and light things up in New England and be their next franchise guy. 16, Cardinals take a little bit of an unexpected pick here and go Jalen Mayfield, a tackle. They need tackle help. I think that's more important now, especially since they signed J.J. Watt. They need to shore up that offense. And Jalen Mayfield is the best right tackle in the class and could be very, very good for the Cardinals on the next level. Moving on to 17, Kwity Paye. He's my edge 1 at the moment. It's tough between him, Jalen Phillips, and Kwity Paye, and then Joseph Osai is a distant third, but I like Kwity Paye a lot. He does both the run and the pass pretty well. He needs to develop a little bit more production against the pass, but he does great work. He puts pressure on the quarterback, and that's what you're ultimately looking for, especially for a team like the Raiders who really need it. At 18, Rashad Bateman still goes to the Miami Dolphins. I like this fit a lot. Rashad Bateman is maybe one of the most underrated first-round prospects in this class. I think he could go a lot higher than a lot of people are saying. And he could definitely be an impact playmaker for that Dolphins offense, especially if they opt to go against Devonta Smith or Jamar Chase at 3. 19, Micah Parsons takes a dive again. I just don't know about the character issues, and I think that's going to drop him for a lot of teams. If he ends up getting 19, I definitely see the Washington football team, they got to jump on him. They got to make that defense even better, especially if there's only an Elijah Vera Tucker available. I don't love Sam Cosmi, even though he's at 25. I just don't think he's a top 20 player, and I think they'd be better suited to go BPA here with Micah Parsons. 20, the Bears still have yet to figure out their quarterback scenario. All 5 gone. I don't think it's very likely that they take one here, so they're just going to go Elijah Vera Tucker, AVT, who I still need to watch a little bit more film on, but I like him, especially at guard. And I think they could definitely put him anywhere you really need if they're going to replace Charles Lenoir or Bobby Massey or just kick him inside to guard. 21, the Colts have gotten their quarterback mostly figured out. Again, I don't love Sam Cosmi here, so I'm going to give them, again, the player that's higher on my board is Jalen Phillips. Could really reinforce that edge help for them and make him a stud in Indianapolis, next to like Robert Mathis type player. 22, Joseph Osai, great scheme fit in Tennessee. He's a stand-up guy, and I feel like they kind of run a lot of those different players with Harold Landry and whatnot. And he's definitely pretty underrated as well with Bateman. I think he could be. He has potential to be a top 20 player in the class. I like him a lot. I love his motor. And if you can get hands on him and put him through some technique and make him learn technique, he's going to be great. Moving on to 23, J.C. Horn goes to the Jets at 23. Horn's another guy that I really like, but I had him dropping in this class just because of the offensive talent above him. Stud. He's going to be a stud for the Jets if he goes here, and it's going to be very good. And at 24, not 25, my apologies, Sam Cosmi goes to the Steelers. Kind of just best left tackle available, really. I like Liam Eichenberg better, but he's going to be that guy probably in this first round that is going to end up going to the Steelers to replace the left tackle Alejandro Villanueva, I believe. Last bit of the first round, we got Xavier Collins at 25. I like him a lot. He has that potential to be a solid outside linebacker on the next level, and without Kelvin Smith in Jacksonville, pairing Collins with Myles Jack would be crucial. At 26, I think the Browns are going to opt for Azeez Ojulari in this case scenario, without a good linebacker on the board. They could go Jamin Davis or Nick Bolton, but I think Azeez Ojulari is a higher player on the board, and he's going to be a really solid edge rusher for them next to Myles Garrett. 27, this is assuming that Baltimore gets rid of Orlando Brown, trades him away to be a left tackle. They go Tevin Jenkins to fill in that right tackle spot. Pretty self-explanatory. 28, just today, the Saints did release Emmanuel Sanders, so you should be looking at more offensive-based selection in Kadarius Toney here. If he's available, that would be a good pick for them. 29, this is my corner too. Kelvin Joseph falls a little bit just because not a lot of people know him, but he's still a top 14 player to me. And he's going to be a really good player opposite of Jair Alexander in Green Bay, especially after Kevin King got smoked in the NFC Championship game. A little bit of change at 30. Najee Harris is going to the Buffalo Bills, which is really, really going to bolster that offense and make it unstoppable. 31, we've got Trey Smith. Again, I mocked this pick last time. I think he's a first-round player. I don't think he might end up going first round, but he's definitely the O-lineman that the Chiefs need. He can fill in a tackle, guard, center, whatever you need. He's going to be a great player. And 32, Greg Russo. Not high on him, as some of you may know, but I feel like he's going to go first round just because of his potential. And what better area to go to than Tampa, where you can develop behind JPP and hopefully Shaq Barrett if they bring him back, and then potentially turn into that franchise guy as an edge rusher. So that's the end of round one. Let's move into round two. A couple picks I like. I like all 5 of these first picks. Richie Grant's a baller. I had him mocked to Jacksonville in the first round of my last mock draft. Still really good player. I like Alex Leatherwood for the offensive lineman position, not just the offensive tackle for New York. Travis Etienne's a playmaker for Atlanta. Nick Bolton is one of my favorite linebackers and a true Mike for Miami. And then Philadelphia gets Greg Newsome, who I watched a little bit more tape on and I really like. I think he could be cornerback 5 and the first, second round corner that comes off the board. We see Cincinnati go Liam Eichenberg at 38. Carolina goes Aaron Robinson. These next 3 picks are pretty consistent. I like all 3 of those guys. Looking at the other 8, I think Dallas getting Barmore is a big-time deal, and I kind of forgot about Christian Barmore, but if you look at the other teams, they don't really have that pressing of a need at D-line to pick him up over these other guys that they have, and Barmore would definitely be a really good addition in Dallas. Dwayne Eskridge goes to New England. I think that's a great fit with the slot receiver type that Bill Belichick likes. Dwayne Eskridge is one of those guys and would be really solid. Second part of my second round mock draft, Washington gets their tackle in Radunes, who falls a little bit. Tennessee goes Marvin Wilson, who I think I'm a lot higher on than other people. Deontay Brown. So this is interesting because they need a left tackle, right? But I heard they might be kicking Quentin Nelson out to left tackle, which I don't think is a great idea because he's more of a guard. But Deontay Brown could definitely fill into that spot if they end up going that route. 57, Joe Trion. I think he's a little underrated. He could end up going in the second round. Ifeatu Melifonwu is very underrated. He would be a steal for New Orleans at 60. And again, I think Elijah Moore would also be a steal for Kansas City at 63. He, to me, is one of the best slot receivers in the class. And giving him to Kansas City is not great. So that's about it in terms of my first round and second round. If you have any questions about your team's pick, please feel free to comment. And I'll try and get back to you, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.